Welcome to the Metal Matt Podcast, and today we'll be talking about not one, but two movies, The Strangers and A Perfect Getaway. And these were suggestions to me, so let's see if the suggestions were worth it. But first, it's time for a little Shoot the Shuffle. And at number one, it's You Spin Me Round Like a Record by Dead or Alive from Youthquake. Very danceable kind of song, a little bit funny in some ways, but it's pretty cool. And I think this song appeared in like Lollipop Chainsaw in the game Lollipop Chainsaw, and I thought that was really funny. And that's actually a really good game, Lollipop Chainsaw. Definitely check it out if you haven't. Number two, Frankenstein by Edgar Winter from They Only Come Out at Night. This is a really cool instrumental, very 70s. I love instrumentals, especially within rock terms, because you can do a lot with rock music instrumentals. You can do like solos, whether they be drum solos or guitar solos, anything like that, and it's just really cool to see kind of a different side of a rock band when they do instrumentals. Metallica does some great instrumentals. That's really like the best rock band I can think of. Off the top of my head, they can do great instrumentals. Aerosmith also does some pretty cool instrumentals as well, though they don't do it that often. But this one's a really cool instrumental. Number three, Bodies by Sex Pistols. From Nevermind the Bollocks, here's the Sex Pistols. This is the only album that Sex Pistols ever made, but it's still really good. Okay, number four, Attack of the Radioactive Hamsters from Planet Near Mars by Weird Al Yankovic from UHF. Again, really good, funny song. Number five, Black Hill Sanitarium by King Diamond from The Graveyard. Really good King Diamond album, very creepy and really cool. Number six, Hate Train by Metallica from Beyond Magnetic. This was an EP that was released, I believe, a month after the Lulu album. And, it's basically outtakes from, Death Magnetic, basically. It's still really cool to listen to. My favorite track off that EP is Hell and Back. And that's a really cool kind of slow plodding song, but that's really cool. Okay, number seven, Heartbreaker by Motorhead from Aftershock. Really good song from Motorhead's latest album. Number eight, Brain Dead by Judas Priest from Jugulator. Really good album with Tim Ripper Owens in there, and I really liked Tim Ripper Owens as the lead singer. I like Rob Halford a lot more, but he did a fine job as a replacement. Number nine, Heartbreaker by Led Zeppelin from Led Zeppelin 2. It's kind of odd how I have two songs named Heartbreaker in the top 10, but anyway, this is a really cool song from Led Zeppelin's sophomore album. And finally, number 10, Gypsy Road by Cinderella from Long Cold Winter. And this one's a really cool one as well. This was when Cinderella became sort of a blues rock band, as opposed to like the glam metal style that they had going for on their first album, Night Songs. And it's still really cool. And really, Cinderella is sort of an underrated band, I guess. You don't really hear that much about them when you hear about glam metal bands, but they're definitely worth to listen to. And I think Night Songs and Long Cold Winter are their best albums. And the title song, The Heartbreak Station, their third album, is also great as well. So that's all for Shoot the Shuffle, and now it's time to talk about the two movies I'm going to talk about. And those are The Strangers and A Perfect Getaway. And I'm going to start off with The Strangers. And this one, a lot of people really like this movie. A lot of people, they say that they love the movie. They say that they found it scary. A lot of people say they like the movie. I'm not one of those people. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate the movie. In fact, I actually liked it better than I thought I was going to. but at the same time, it just wasn't for me. House invasion movies really aren't my thing. They're not my subgenre of horror. Like The Purge, I guess could count as a home invasion movie, and I wasn't so hot on The Purge. Like I thought it was an interesting concept. I mean, really interesting. But if it was trying to satirize anything, it really did kind of fail at it. And I thought that a lot of the characters, specifically the young son, are really idiotic. But yeah. So I didn't like The Purge. But anyway, back to the Strangers. Yeah, that's it. The Strangers. And so yeah, I didn't like this movie. Well, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't say I liked this movie, but I didn't really hate it either. I think it's an okay movie. The movie centers around a young couple. I don't remember their names. I remember the girl's name. I don't remember the guy's name. And they're played by Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman. And they're traveling to a cabin after a friend's wedding. And the guy and the couple are boyfriend and girlfriend. And I think the guy proposed her at the wedding and at the wedding reception, and she said no. So they're just kind of off the beaten path, I guess. And that's not to say that they're not getting along at all. They do. But there is kind of a rough patch in their relationship. And all of a sudden, just these invaders just come and invade their home. Really for no reason. It never explains exactly why they do it. And it's pretty much implied that they're just doing it just to do it. Liv Tyler asks, why are they doing this? And there's 3 invaders here. 2 of them female, 1 male. And one of the female goes, because you were home. So they're just doing it just to do it, which I guess I like that aspect of it. But, yeah. And, what really bothered me about the movie so much is that, the lead couple are idiots. Like, they're so dumb. Like, the guy constantly puts Liv Tyler's character in danger all the time. And it really kind of frustrates me when there's dumb characters in a horror movie. And I get that a lot of horror movies have lots of dumb characters. I get that. But those are usually the supporting characters, never really the main characters. And I just found the guy kind of unlikable. And there's like a scene in the movie where one of the invaders is just standing in the front yard, and just looking at them, just staring at them at the house. And the guy's like, maybe she wants to talk. Like, why would she just be standing there? Obviously we have to go talk to her. And and I'm like, no, maybe you should call the cops. Like, it's just moronic activity like that in this movie. I just couldn't get into that. And, but the suspense is the best thing this movie has going for it. And one of the reasons I guess people really liked this movie was that it was a nice change of pace from modern horror movies, because there's rarely any gore. Like, one of their friends gets killed accidentally by the guy after a shotgun. You do see his corpse, and it's not necessarily that gory, but it is pretty graphic. And spoiler alert, the couple get killed. Yeah, and but even then, it's really not that gory, But yeah, so the film it relies heavily on suspense. It's very psychological that way, and I like that aspect of it. As much as I love kind of gory splatter kind of horror movies, I also like it when there's something very psychological going on there, very kind of Hitchcockian in its own way. And it really does harken back to the 70s. The cabin has a very 70s look to it. You know, I mean, it's just really cool, and it's really pleasant to look at. The film is well shot. The cinematography is amazing, and the direction is very competent. This was like a first-time director, but the director really didn't know what he was doing. You know, you see a lot of first-time directors, and you can kind of tell that they're really not sure. They're not really that confident. But this director, he does know what he's doing. He does know exactly what's going on. So I like the direction, I like the cinematography. And, so I'll just go ahead to the sorry. Man, I'm getting all choked up from this. But, I'll just go to the ending. And, if you haven't seen the movie, I will just go ahead and say it. Spoiler alert. If you don't want to know what happens in the movie, you know, just skip to, a couple minutes in, a couple minutes after this. So just go ahead and skip it if you don't want to know. So don't say I didn't warn you. But anyway, there's a couple kids. Well, hold on, let me start over. The invaders kill the couple, Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman. And they're driving down, and it's daytime, and the invaders are driving down a highway, down a road, and two kids come up to them, and like they kind of just talk for a while, and then the kids walk into the house, and like this is where I'm like, oh my god, these kids are terrible. Because the kids do not have a reaction to anything. Like, you know, they see the two corpses, they don't do a thing. Like, you know, at least make a facial expression, you know what I mean? Like, they did not show any emotion at all. Like, I know that they're kids, I know that you're not supposed to, have high hopes for kid actors because they're just kids, but they could have at least showed a little bit of emotion, you know? And then one of the kids bends down and takes a look at, the corpses. And then suddenly, we have a stupid jump scare, which is really the cheapest and dumbest thing you could ever do in a horror movie, especially in the end of it all. This is the cheapest, dumbest, most predictable thing ever. The boy bends down to look at the corpse, and Liv Tyler just springs up. Her hand springs up. Oh, she's still alive. And I'm like, oh, give me a break. Like, I just did not like that ending. So, yeah. So, overall, The Strangers, I liked it better than I thought it was going to. I read over it. I read exactly what kind of movie it was. I'm like, okay, I'm not a huge fan of this subgenre, but I'll go ahead and give it a shot. And for the most part, I do like it. There are problems. I hate the characters, and I hate the stupid twist ending, if you even call it a twist, because I think it's really obvious. But other than those two problems, I do like this movie, and those two problems really kind of keep me from really liking this movie. But overall, I think it's a solid movie, you know, very suspenseful. If you like psychological horror movies, you're definitely going to like this. But it's just not my movie. It's just not my movie, you know. So I liked it, but it's just not my movie, you know. So that's it for The Strangers, and I'll take a short break, and I'll come back and I'll talk about A Perfect Getaway. Okay, and I'm back. And now I'm going to be talking about A Perfect Getaway. And this movie, I had never heard of this movie until my birthday, when one of my friends, Chucky115 Awesome, recommended this movie as well as The Strangers to me. And, I had heard of The Strangers. I heard of The Strangers when it came out, but I never heard of A Perfect Getaway. And so, I decided, you know what, I'll go ahead and I'll give it a watch. I'll just see, how it holds up, how it is. And, I was pleasantly surprised. I really liked this movie. I did. I really did like this movie. Going into it, I didn't really have high expectations because I don't watch a lot of thrillers. I just don't, And, I didn't really have any high expectations for this. But, as I was watching it, I was really enjoying it. The plot revolves around this couple named Cliff and Sydney, who are portrayed by Steve Zahn. I think I'm saying that right. Steve Zahn and Mila Jovovich. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing their names wrong, but and they are going on a trip to Hawaii, and they're newlyweds. And they come across this couple. They come across a couple couples. And they just kind of, for the most part, for the first act of the movie, it's kind of laid back in a sense, It's around like 10-15 minutes, it's said that there's murders in Honolulu or something like that. And what I really liked about this movie was that a lot of the actors really did have a lot of chemistry. And many of the characters are really enjoyable. They're really likable. You would want to spend time with these people. Especially the character that is played by Timothy Olyphant. I think I want to say that's him. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. His character's named Nick, so I'll just call him Nick. And Nick is really likable. He's very funny, and this is one thing about the movie that I wasn't expecting. The movie is actually really funny. And I was not expecting that. And, the movie is actually a little bit self-aware at times. And, it really was kind of reminding me of Scream in that sense. Because they would reference, these movies and, kind of these, tropes. Steve Zahn's character, is apparently a screenwriter. And the character of Nick is always kind of like talking to Steve Zahn's character about, maybe you can write a movie about me one day. And he references Star Wars and Cool Hand Luke and, all these movies. And, it really did kind of have a, self-awareness in Scream self-awareness in this that really did remind me of Scream. And the characters did not do it obnoxiously like they did in Scream. They weren't like, oh, the events in this movie, oh, they're like Silence of the Lambs, ugh. It wasn't like that in this movie. It was just very laid back, really likable, And it's a really kind of fun movie at first. And one of the things that I didn't pick up on at first was that one of the guys who is a red herring in this movie, him and his wife, I think that's his wife, a character named Kale, and he's played by Chris Hemsworth, who is of course now known for Thor and all that stuff. And this is a year before Thor, I think, so it's kind of weird seeing him before Thor, and he looks really different in this. He kind of has this kind of goatee, and I think maybe a shaved head, maybe, or at least a mohawk. I'm not really sure. But, they're red herrings, and trying to think, they reference it, and I really love this part. The two couples are talking, and they're talking about, all these movie stars that they think that Steve Zahn's character might know, or are good for his next screenplay. And they're talking about Nick Cage and Johnny Depp. And And like one of the ladies is like, I love Johnny Depp. He's so dreamy, the way he looks at you. And like I was just laughing because I know that one of my good friends, great friends, and one of my listeners has a thing for Johnny Depp. You know who you are, G. And the thing about it was we were actually just talking about Johnny Depp yesterday. Me, G, Spanky, and Chucky115 Awesome. We were talking about Johnny Depp yesterday, and it kind of stemmed from a weird conversation. We were all talking about Heath Ledger, I guess, and I know that, and Spanky has an odd obsession with Ryan Gosling, which could very well turn serious at any given moment. I'm just kidding, but and so I decided, and so I jokingly say, "Whoa, Heath Ledger ain't as high as Ryan Gosling, is he?" And Spanky's like, "Hell no." And then enters Johnny Depp. G talks about Johnny Depp, and we're all talking about Johnny Depp, and it's just kind of a weird thing, And that's what we talk about on a daily basis. We just talk all the time, and it's really enjoyable. I love hanging out with those people, Spanky, G, and Chucky115 Awesome. You guys are awesome if you're listening to this. Anyway, back to A Perfect Getaway. I was kind of rambling on there for a minute. But that's just the things that we talk about on a daily basis. And I just mentioned that because I know that G loves Johnny Depp. Spanky too, I know you love Johnny Depp. You can deny all you want, but you love him and you know it. But anyway, let's just move back to the movie. Okay, I'm trying to think of what else happens in this movie. Oh yeah, okay, the ending, the twist. And of course, again, spoiler alert, Steve Zahn and Mila Jovovich are revealed to be the killers. And when I was like that, and I love the flashbacks in this movie because when they're revealed as the killers, there's a flashback that happens. And I really love the filter that they use for it. But at the same time, it does kind of go on for a bit too long. But overall, I thought that was pretty interesting. And I was not seeing that coming. And I wasn't seeing it coming. I wasn't. So that was a really good surprise. A really good twist. But I wasn't sure if I could actually believe Steve Zahn as a killer. Because I know him from stuff like Daddy Daycare and Stuart Little. And just all that stuff. All these kiddie kind of movies. But and I really wasn't sure. But like he sold me on it. Like he's trying. At points he did kind of become funny. Like at the end where he and Nick are fighting, he gets like stabbed in the hand and like, I bit my tongue. I hate when I do that. I'm like, come on, don't do that now. Like you're so close to, selling me on the idea that you're a murderer, and when you do stuff like that, it kind of takes you out of it just a bit. But he ended up doing fine. Like I was surprised, but yeah. So everybody does good in this movie. Everybody does a great job in this movie. They're likable. Like even Steve Zahn and Mila Jovovich are pretty likable, which makes it a little bit more shocking when they're revealed as the killers. And overall, I need to end this because we're reaching about 25 minutes. But overall, A Perfect Getaway is a really great movie, and it's not really talked about a lot. Like it isn't really talked about very often. But I think it should because I think it's a really great movie. Definitely underrated. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a great thriller. So definitely check it out. Maybe The Strangers too if you're into the psychological horror. So that is it for the Metal Matt podcast. I want to throw in a few plugs because I forgot to do it at the beginning. Spanky and G have just released a new podcast called Napoleon. A new podcast, a new episode of their podcast called, and they did it on Napoleon Dynamite this week. And that was a really interesting episode. I loved that episode, and I like that movie. It's really good. As they said, it's sort of an odd, offbeat kind of movie. And, like Spanky said, or G, like they said, either you like it or you don't. I like it. I think it's really cool. And I do like the character of Napoleon. And I think it's funny that Spanky says, it's not a movie of Kristen Stewart or Angelina Jolie making the same face for 2 hours. But something I'm noticing is that Napoleon kind of has the same face for 2 hours as well. Like he just he just has that face for like the entire movie. But I really like their podcast. If you haven't listened to it, what are you doing? Like, listen to it. It's a really great podcast. Again, two of them have really great chemistry. They're beyond a shadow of a doubt, my best friends. And definitely check it out because it's definitely worth the listen. And I also want to give one final shout out to Chucky's Playground. A really great forum. We recently underwent a new makeover. I'm always there every day. Spanky's there every day. G's there every day. Chucky 115's awesome. Awesome is there. So just come on and join us, man. We're going to be having a live stream on Sea of Chucky and Curse of Chucky next week, hopefully. So definitely join us. Join us. You can only join us if you're a member of the site. So definitely register and join us for the live stream next week. I'll always be on Chucky's Playground. That is the best website on the internet. So it is just awesome, awesome, awesome. So yeah, that's it for the Metal Matt Podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out The Strangers and A Perfect Getaway. Check out Spanky and G's amazing podcast. And join us on Chucky's Playground. And on Friday, I will be counting down my top 10 favorite That 70s Show episodes. So join me on Friday, and I'll see you then.